Hello, my name is Anton Rousseau. I am at FCM3 Visual Programming in my second trimester. And this is my project that I call Digital Prometheus, and this is how it works. Yeah. So what this is essentially doing is mostly tops that are reacting to MediaPipe, which essentially tracks the points on my hands and manipulate the x and y values of squares on a graph, which you can see here, like this. Very retro, but I think very interesting and pretty cool. So yeah, and so typically what folks would do is that they would use a grid to make the squares on the background. But in the tutorial I've used, they instead use a GLS top would use and using the red and green values, they put vuv.st, which is essentially the coordinates of each square, and set the blue value to 0 and the alpha to 1, because the blue is only used for the hand tracking, which is here, and it is then added together and put to a null, which is then put to which is put into a geo, which let me show this will be the translate OP, which with the red, green, and blue here. And so everything is set to so the only the z value is set to b, which is only the z value is set to b. So the all the squares will move when the blue dots go over set squares. And typically one would go about it with just taking the raw data, the raw null from the output one, and blur them, and then add a math which will just uh, which only adds to the blue value. It removes the green value and red value, and that can work, but you cannot change the circles, the size of the circles, or the opacity, or the color of said circles. And so what I found you can do is that you put a null and put it into a circle geo, and then then you apply a constant material with a ramp that has goes from white to white, but the alpha goes from 1 to 0. So it creates a transparent orb on each point of the hand. And then you convert it to blue, and thus the process I explained in the beginning. And so then if you want the color, which is placed here, if you can see that the circles are nice and white, you take a null out of the render, and then you place a fit, which essentially just makes it possible to put it into the geography. And you go to instance 2, and which is color mode, and you make it the color operator, and thus making it nice and white and clear. I also messed with the environment light here as well, so that the dimmer is set to 5, so it's a lot stronger, and the squares are a lot more visible. And the grid itself is created with instances of one small box, and so all of these individual boxes will move with the hand. Uh, So then afterwards, it's just compositing, which is just I added an RGB key for a black background, and then a bloom to add a bit of extra glow, and then a ramp, which is then placed underneath which is actually placed on top. Sorry, on top of said grid, and it multiplies the color, and thus gives a really nice CRT image, and then it's outputted, and yeah, that's essentially how it works. Thank you.